Welcome, Dan, to another Facebook Live. How are we?
Very good, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Just got back from a run, actually, and feels good to have a little bit of a sweat.
Good man. It's pretty chilly out there.
It is, but the sun's coming out, and it's going to be an absolute ripper today. I can't wait to get my 9 burpees out later on. Should be a winner. How's your morning been?
Yeah, good. Just hanging out with clients and looking forward to a big afternoon. Getting out there in the sun too.
Yeah, beautiful. Loving it. So, for those of you who haven't joined us before, Daniel and I are getting together at least on a weekly basis to discuss topics that have stemmed from questions that we've been asked in this group, and it's given us pause to really reflect on our own experiences and challenges when it comes to, what challenges we've been up against and how we've navigated them. And we just thought it would be a really great kind of platform to share our experiences with you. And if you have any further questions, you're welcome to just continue to ask them, and also just offer any advice that you have as well. This is all about having a really, really open dialogue amongst dads and sharing our vulnerabilities and helping each other out where we can. So today's question stems from somebody who was really time poor. I mean, like super time poor. And this is back, he asked the question when gyms were open for business. And, he said the only feasible time he could see himself going to the gym was at 3 a.m. And, he put on some weight, and he had really, really struggled to just, he was getting anxious, in my mind, getting anxious about how he would fit exercise into his day. And it gave me some moments to have a little bit of a think about what exercise means in general, how we as a society kind of value exercise and look at it, and how it can be looked in different ways. Anything you want to add there, Dan?
No, I'm just excited to explore this topic of how to, I guess, rig your environment to make exercise, eating well, living healthy, easy and effortless. I think it can be a challenging thing to navigate, especially alone. So it's great that we can connect in this way and just share some breakthroughs and some ideas and some things that we've both brought to our lives to make it possible to get the most out of our day, get the most out of each moment, because each moment is so important. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring different ways that I know for myself have made it possible to just train, eat, and live a healthy lifestyle, even though every day is quite busy and completely unpredictable. So it's basically how to make something predictable in an unpredictable day-to-day life that I'm sure we're all living.
Yeah, I love that, and you're spot on. Like if you don't plan things out, you're just playing the guessing game, and you're playing catch up constantly. You're playing by the complete chances rules. And if you can override that algorithm by creating a little bit of foresight and planning triggers out in front of you, visually, emotionally, to be able to get the most productivity out of yourself, to me, that's just putting so many positive steps ahead of where you could be. So I wanted to really quickly discuss a couple of concepts. One is the concept of what NEAT is, and NEAT is a concept which is broken down to non-exercise attributed thermogenesis. Now, we've talked about this before in the past, and it's a really powerful tool to be able to get exercise throughout times in the day where you just didn't think it could exist. And to me, NEAT comes in many different ways, faces, shapes. And I'm just going to give you an example of how I use NEAT in my own day. For me, when I am putting the kettle on to have a cup of tea or topping up my coffee, I'll just get down into a squat and do, some hip rotations and stretches. And that's just time. That's 30 seconds that I have just kind of given to my hips that I wouldn't have had in the past. Might seem ridiculous, but I'll tell you what, you do that enough times, you got to have a lot of tea, but you do that enough times and your hips are going to thank you for it. And that's a big, powerful step. Another thing we also do, Dan, I know you and I always do it because I hear you when we're on our meetings on our phones, we are always walking around the block when we are talking on the phone. I don't know if I stole that from you, if you were going to say it in your bit, but that's a big one. And I borrowed that from you because you inspired me to do that every single time. If we don't absolutely need our computers in front of us, get out there into nature, get some fresh air, walk around the block, and get some vitamin D, which is so unbelievably important for understanding the way our body and our biology works. So there are a couple of things. One last thing that just came to mind, which once again seems kind of not super important, but added together can be so important. Anytime you need to do an errand, anytime you need to go shopping with your groceries, make it inconvenient for yourself. Park in an inconvenient location. Don't look for the spot that is, designated for people who have babies, or for people who, are the elderly. Give it to the elderly. They deserve it. Make it challenging for yourself, because that is that's just going to add so much more. A little bit of healthy stress in times where it didn't exist can just add so much more to your life.
Yeah, that's awesome, Paulie. And all these things that you're saying are really simple to implement. And I think that's what's most important. It's like, to rig your environment means to have things available to you. So it just makes things easy. So if within arm's reach, I have a resistance band here, I've got a drink bottle here, I've got, papers everywhere that are close to me. So, it's all within arm's reach. I've got a foam roller just there. I've got a chair that I'm sitting on that I like to do some dips and some incline, decline push-ups as well. As Paulie mentioned, I think working and talking on the phone and walking is just a beautiful combination. So I try and do as much as that as I really can, because it just adds exercise in my day, but it's not something that I'm really so conscious of. It's just something that I do. And all of a sudden there might be 10,000 steps, 15,000 steps, 20,000 steps. And I've accomplished so much in so many ways. And I think combining things is a really powerful way to get the most out of, each day that we have. So some of the things that you suggested, Paulie, were really good. And just, from my experience with bringing breathing techniques into my life, really since we did that breathing challenge in March, when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, it's just an opportunity to put a 2-minute timer on my phone and just do various different breathing techniques, because this is like, it can seem like it's dead time, but it's actually really valuable time. We're just standing there, we're just sitting there, we're maybe just waiting. We can be consumed with thinking about doing things, or we can actually just do it. And I think that's just a beautiful phrase. I think someone uses it, just do it. So I feel like it's just super important to just extract the most value out of each moment that we can.
I love that, Dan. And to think of the time that you talked about with the kettle is, you can either look at this time as dead time, or it's the opposite. It's the most valuable time you could think of, because you're actually resurrecting time. You've actually, you've actually taken dead time and made it productive time. So it's like time squared. It's a pretty powerful way to look at it. And, I'd recommend, and I've actually sat down and I've done this, I've assessed, taken inventory of my day and thought about what are the most predictable times that I have dead time, and how can I think about them and use triggers to resurrect it and make it time squared, which is a super, it just opens up space and time for us all. You also have your surfboard there. So whenever there's swells out, you can just kind of jump straight on, which is good.
Definitely. And especially now that in Melbourne, they've just opened up a surf wave pool close to the here. It surfs up every day. I think they just reopened, so I'm looking forward to getting back there pretty soon. It's quite an amazing.
Have you used that?
Yeah.
Is it epic? I hear amazing things about it.
It's totally amazing. I think I got some photos that I can post.
Please do. I wanted to take you guys through, I suppose, where I am as well. You know, Dan shared what it is that he has around his workstation that has benefited him. Well, I'm in a situation where I'm actually working out the back of my parents' house. And this is during the COVID situation where I've been lucky enough to have like my own entrance here where I can really just jump on in, and I set up my own environment. And I'm going to take you on a little bit of a tour. This is my sister's old bedroom. And, you know, the reason I'm doing this is because I've actually set this room up so it can actually benefit me. I know there's a treadmill in my parents' place because I'm lucky enough to be able to use that. But I also know that I'm only going to be able to use it if I set reminders up for myself. So I have a pair of runners there that are just always looking at me and quietly judging me if I don't use them. And I also have a pair of shorts and a singlet right there, drying on the bed in the sunlight from the sweat I just used them with just earlier on. Is that the most hygienic way to go about it? No, I probably would choose to go and put them in the wash. But I know that if putting them, and obviously I do that every couple of days, but putting them straight out there is just once again a constant reminder. I just want to share one last thing with you that is pretty cool that I've just reappropriated. Here
we go.
I have like a set here that I do, and I do pull-ups on that thing every 20 minutes or so. And the reason I do that is because it gives me time and rest and recovery from my work every 20 minutes just to clear my head. I'll either choose to go for a walk around the block, or I'll do a series of pull-ups or push-ups. And, you know, it just gives me time to be able to refocus and come back to the workstation with a little bit of a reinvigorated focus. And that's something that I recommend anyone can do, especially now that we're not in our offices and we're actually forced to be at our homes. You don't have to worry about looking like, you know, whatever in front of your colleagues, because the only person that is going to be watching you is yourself. So you have a perfect opportunity to be able to rig your environment and just think laterally. I mean, that's all I've done. I haven't actually purchased any material here. I've just thought about ways that I can rig my environment to be able to serve me throughout the working day.
Nice work, mate. Love it. Thanks for the tour.
Pleasure. So yeah, there are a few little tidbits that I hope we were able to help you with, give you some insight and some inspiration to be able to get to your house and do your bit as well. So Dan, anything else to add, mate?
No, just looking forward to continuing on these conversations. If anyone's got any questions or topics that would be good to hear about, let us know. I'd love to hear also the ways that you bring NEAT into your life. I think we're using this group really to support each other. So everyone's contributions are so important. So we'd love to hear from you.
Perfect. Well done, guys. And we will see you very shortly. Thanks, Dan.
Cheers. Thanks, Polly.